All right, welcome everybody. I'm on a call to order the Education and Planning Committee on April 2nd. Start off with a quick question. Does everybody know why April is important?
It's community college month.
Bingo! Thank you. So this is Community College Month,
Oh.
and there probably wouldn't be a better time for us to advocate community colleges than right now. Statewide, federal-wise, talk to your legislators, your neighbors, talk to the stranger on the street, anything you can do. But good time to promote community colleges and good work that we do, that you do. Start today, Deborah, we haven't been to Newark in a while, so why don't you bring us up to speed?
Yeah. Sharon's gonna put some slides up. So I just have a couple brief slides to go over. But first of all, welcome everybody for coming out today to the Newark Campus Center. Thank you for including us in your rounds that you do throughout the year. And I know we moved this meeting to April for better weather. And this wasn't the case, so, sorry. But we do have a beautiful serene setting. It just wasn't that good at the moment. So, well, welcome. If anybody, I think there are a few new people that may not know me. I'm the director, Deborah Korsner. The staff here at Newark is myself full-time, and then we have 2 part-time campus center coordinators. Okay. And so a quick snapshot of what our 24-25 enrollment looks like. Of course, you know, I'd be amiss if I didn't say that this was not the enrollment picture that we want, and that it has decreased over time, but we're trying to move that needle and change things a little bit. So for fall of 24, we had a target head count of 82, and we had scheduled 10 course sections in person. This is credit-bearing enrollment, or credit-bearing sections. We ended up with an actual head count of 52. The main reason for the difference between that target and our actual in the fall, which usually doesn't have that big of a discrepancy, was our partnership with the P-TECH program changed a little bit, and their needs for students in math classes changed. So they originally had 28 students registered. We thought that was going to put us on track. That would have put us at 80, really close to our target head count, but they did have to unenroll some of their students who were not prepared for college level math at this time. So that did change some things, and it ended up in us running 8 course sections. And then because of that, we adjusted our target head count for spring, because we know spring is always a function of what fall enrollment looks like. So we did have a target head count of 36. We ended up with 39 with 8 credit course sections running right now. Looking forward to the fall, we have 10 sections again scheduled. We've been working with department chairs and academic leadership on making sure that we have the right course mix and the correct gen ed courses to run at Newark. But credit offerings is just a small part of what goes on here. We have quite a few non-credit offerings at this time, and I know that Patrick and Ryan are going to talk later about welding. This was just a quick picture of the first welding cohort that was for FLCC, was here at Newark, and they graduated in December. And then we have this other non-credit activity going on here, of course. So we have the IDP classes running here, GED class and GED testing, TEAS testing. We also do employer requested training. An example is Creation Technologies has run several trainings here this academic year. And then community education offerings. We're trying to expand those by running those synchronously with the Geneva campus and the Victor campus. We did have a retirement community ed course on the books, but that's just changing because of instructor availability. But we're looking at other opportunities, and Patrick was just talking to me just before this meeting about a Spanish opportunity that we're exploring. So we're trying to get community ed going and synchronizing up with the other centers.
What does IDP and TAS stand for?
So the IDP is the Impaired Driver Program. So that is a course that would be mandated training for the individuals in that circumstance. And the TEAS testing, the TEAS test is for the nursing.
Okay, thank you.
And then partnerships are also a very big part of the Newark Campus Center. So Department of Labor has opened up in this space since you were here for our Board of Trustees meeting last year. And they incorporate a full wing of this building now. They offer their career center here, and they are getting quite a bit of traffic coming into the building that are meeting with their counselors for unemployment benefits, job searches, different things like that. They're running job fairs. We're participating in those as part of FLCC, both to promote credit and non-credit offerings. And then they also partnered quite a bit with Workforce and Career Solutions for the welding program as well. And then the Wayne Finger Lakes BOCES P-Tech School is located connected to us, which you may have remembered me updating you on that in the past. They offer grades 9 through 12 high school. They take their full high school day here in the building that's connected to us, and then they come to us for certain courses during the day. And then we are involved with the Wayne County Partnership and the Wayne County Community Schools led by Jay Roscup. And we're in various talks with them about new partnerships and some things that are coming. And since we last met, we did have STEAM Camp last year. We continue to have that every year. And we like to promote that because it is an undertaking that, even though it's just 1 week in length, takes a lot of prep time. 2024 STEAM Camp was very successful. We had a small group of all boys students, which surprised us because that is usually never the case. Geneva had all girls this year. We had all boys. We geared ourselves up for what 8 boys might be like on this campus, but they were the best group we ever had. The 2 pictures I put here, I put not just to promote STEAM Camp, but because I wanted to point out that these 2 pictures represent FLCC coming full circle in so many ways. So a lot of times we have trouble recruiting instructors to want to come in the summer and teach in STEAM Camp. So we supplement our awesome FLCC faculty with some community members and things like that. And this community member here in this picture, James, is a senior at Clarkson University. He came and he did a presentation with these students that just blew them away. They launched these rockets off. They had a blast outside. And James really brought it all together for us by telling the students about how many of his Gemini credits transferred to Clarkson University, and told them that all the things that he taught them, which he thought were really cool, were really from Physics 1 and 2, which he took FLCC in his high school. So they were learning that they can really start with us in high school and have FLCC be a part of the picture. And then this other photo over here, the young man that's teaching them there is actually one of the P-Tech students. He's a senior in high school this year. So this was the summer before his senior year. He worked for us as a student aide. And so he was an FLCC student, a P-Tech high school student, our employee who was being paid as a student aide, and working with the next students coming up. So those are the things we do, is really just trying to foster these partnerships and goodwill in the community. And here's our advertisement quickly for next year. If you know any youth, please send them to the website to register. Our camp is open for students that will head into grades 6 through 9 in the fall. This year, we are changing it up. We're having a workforce theme, been partnering with Patrick. We're going to be doing some things with the virtual welding, the VR headsets. Career Services from FLCC is going to be involved. So we're trying to have students see that the fun continues to an academic pathway and really bridge that for them. And the Department of Labor is going to be having an open house with us April 24th. I'd like to invite you to that event. There's going to be a ribbon cutting for them at 10:30. Newark Chamber is going to provide the ribbon cutting and those things, and they are going to have some Department of Labor personnel coming from Albany. Also, I was just told today that our new SUNY Vice Chancellor of Workforce Development and Upward Mobility, I almost forgot his title, but Christopher White, who was newly appointed to SUNY's Workforce Vice Chancellor, has this on his calendar, so we hope maybe he will come to kind of bridge that between SUNY and Department of Labor and the partnerships. Whether he'll make it, I don't know, but we'll see. And some upcoming events, just to give you an idea of what we do here in Newark, or this is just 1 month of things going on. We work with our advisory board, which are people from all over Wayne County that come together to kind of advise us on things that we can do. In the spring, we have our joint meeting with the Victor and Geneva campus, so we all come together on main campus. We're having an event for the P-Tech freshmen. So the high school freshmen will come to us, get a presentation about FLCC, about what being a college student's all about. They will get their photos taken for their student ID and all of those things, so that we're bringing them in as freshmen and we're telling them, hey, you're part of us. You are an FLCC student. This is what it means to be an FLCC student. Try to get them some excitement about that. And we have a couple of recruitment events coming up. We participate in the one on main campus, and we have a spring visit day here on the 22nd. And then, of course, I put on here the Laker Day of Giving. We do have the FLCC Newark Campus Center Scholarship, which obviously is very close to my heart. It was started here by our employees, actually myself and Carrie Allen in the One Stop, which is Trustee Hall's mother. And I started that scholarship several years ago. And we give $1,000 per year to one student who's very deserving. So if you have a chance to give at Laker Day, please consider Newark. And any questions? Yes. Go ahead.
Could you just tell us a little bit about the structure of your recruitment process?
Yeah, so,
The reason why I'm asking is because you led off with, that you're concerned about enrollment.
sure. Yep, so we do develop a recruitment and marketing plan every year, where we kind of outline what events we're going to participate in and other things, initiatives that we're going to have. So ongoing initiatives that we do 4 times a week, we offer an AIM session, or that's what I call them as a nickname for admissions information meeting, where those would be one-on-one sessions where a student can sign up on the website under the admissions visit page, select Newark, and then meet here one-on-one with a staff member, usually myself, to have a tour, talk through things, talk through the application process. So that would be one thing. We also participate in quite a few things with P-Tech, not only to entice them to take the college courses, but to entice them to continue on the FLCC pathway and actually enroll and finish out their degree. So that is P-Tech is part of our recruitment plan as well. We're participating with Department of Labor in job fairs and things. And also they're starting to send us quite a few referrals at this point, as far as folks that come in and they're looking for a position. If it makes sense for them to upskill or look at a degree option, they will send them to us. So our partnership with them is part of our recruitment plan as well. And then participating in other events like at main campus and are hosting our own events here.
Do you ever, you're situated here, you're near Marion and Lyons and by Savannah.
Yep.
North Rose, Wilkins, are all within a stone's throw
Yep.
of here. So you got a pretty strong market out here with virtually no competition until you get out toward Red Creek, and then you're looking at central New York. I mean, I think that there's got to be a lot of great opportunities.
There are, and I'll say, our number one competition has been the movement to online modalities and other options. And of course, we promote those things too, because obviously we're promoting all of FLCC.
Sure.
But that has been the biggest threat to those enrollment numbers that you saw. Those are just persons in our seats in our credit classes.
Sure. I look at it as an opportunity, and so I think that the curriculum is rich. That's one thing I've learned in a very short period of time. FLCC has really, really rich curriculum, very comprehensive, very innovative, very contemporary. And so we just need to market that in a very creative way, so, and I don't have the answer to that, but I mean, I think that you've got to really have a market right in your backyard here. And so maybe we can figure out more and better ways to reach out, because I can tell you, being a career educator, there's a lot of juniors and seniors that are undecided. And there's a lot of incoming freshmen into college that are undecided. So if in any way we can capture that market, it'd be really beneficial.
If you're looking for assist,
Yeah, sure.
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm Matt Steve, I'm the director of admissions. So Deb and I work very closely together, and you're absolutely correct. So there's 11 school districts in Wayne County. And one of the things we'll talk about in a little bit when we get into healthcare is we have a CRM, customer relationship management system. And for all the students that are in these districts, right from their junior year on, they take a PSAT, which is the precursor to the SAT. If they take a Gemini course, we load them into the system and their parents. We contact them continually, we email them, we text them. We do touch points for all the things that Deb talked about. But then when people apply, they also say, are you interested in a certain campus center? And Deb gets reports for both the inquiries and the applicants. And we have targeted messaging for students in our backyard. And we communicate, what does it mean to have a brick and mortar institution out here when there really isn't much else? And how is it a conduit to main campus? So how do we connect and leverage this resource for things that might not always happen? So there's a number of things that we do, and I can speak all day about it. I just wanted to jump in.
Thanks, Matt.
There isn't a super something.
Yeah.
Yeah, great, thank you so much.
Thank you. Anything else?
I would thank you.
Thank you.
Really, really well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's going on.
Thanks.
Our business for the committee, the first order is to review the March 5th committee meeting minutes. Any comments, questions, additions, deletions? Hearing none, move on to the enrollment report from Dr. Urbatus.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm going to give you a verbal update based on numbers as of this past Friday, March 28th. So overall enrollment, excluding Gemini and non-credit state aidable, headcount is up 4.6% and FTE is up 0.4%. Adding Gemini and non-credit state aidable, headcount is down 10.4% and FTE is down 11.9%. And you may remember my caveat from the March meeting relative to full-term courses in Gemini moving to the fall. So I looked at our fall Gemini enrollment, official numbers, and FTE for fall Gemini was up 40.7%, right? And I just mentioned that FTE right now for Gemini, I didn't mention this, but Gemini FTE right now is down 38.6%. So it's not comparing apples to apples, but it does appear to be pretty close to a wash. And I know Jason has some numbers for you as well when he gives his update. So any questions?
Numbers all in then for this semester?
Not, official enrollment has been accepted by SUNY, I think,
Yes,
earlier this week.
They're not getting it back to us.
Got it. It's been accepted, but we don't have it.
But they approve what you give them.
Yes, they are ready. I mean, there may be some registrations trickling in, but for the most part, we're done with Gemini registration.
Thanks.
Just, I don't know if you have the answer off the top of your head, transfers. Do we know how many are coming in from SUNY versus non-SUNY?
For what?
Transfers coming from SUNY versus non-SUNY?
We could get that data. I don't know it off the top of my head, but we could certainly identify that versus private.
Right, or
Private
other.
versus public,
Mhm. But
Yeah.
particularly SUNY,
yes.
in the state of New York.
I would prefer Brian. The last time I looked at it, MCC is our largest sender.
Yeah.
Just,
MCC?
yeah, just before,
And it's been that way for
yeah,
a long
quite a
time.
while.
Interesting.
But we didn't pull that, we have the data. I can't cite more of that off the top of my head.
I also recall during COVID, maybe in the thick of COVID, students taking online courses here versus maybe an institution like Cornell or other Colgate, things like that, where the cost,
Correct,
since they were not going to be maybe on that campus or chose not.
that's right.
Did we see any stickiness or traction where folks maybe still consider that option?
That's a
And
good
I'm
question.
just curious. I don't know if that's trackable.
Well,
or
we
not.
know our online enrollment has gone up.
Sure.
There's no question about that.
Again, anecdotally, a young woman at a farm stand was taking a full year off and going to FLCC versus paying the Cornell.
Yeah.
Getting their
This
30
was during COVID.
during COVID, almost unsolicited, talking to another customer, overheard it. It was just incredible,
Right,
wonderful. But,
right.
just thought that that might be an option for those that are considering some of the financial commitments, so.
Right. Brian,
I was just gonna just say, I think 72 or 75% of the students who come over this summer are coming from institutions that are not.
That's right.
Most of our enrollment over the summer are students coming from other institutions.
Right.
Primarily 4 years in that case, that's not an MCC situation.
Right.
And completion rates for those students are right around 90%,
Oh, wow.
which is
That's interesting.
about 12% higher than our enrollment.
Wow.
So picking up a course or two or more
Yes,
over the summer
exactly.
versus having to pay their
Yeah,
course.
so like normally we offer ish sections of physics, students will want to, institutions that offer physics online. So we could offer a ton of students from Binghamton. It's strange, we end up with students from the University of Delaware, Binghamton, and then it seems like word gets out at certain colleges and that get fraction of the same student number.
They find us, we find them.
we have a marketing plan that we utilize, and we geo-fence specific institutions that have shown to send us students.
Those are significant numbers.
Yes, they're quite a
Mandated. Yeah, might be mandated.
George, I want to clarify your question, though. You're asking about transfers in to FLCC,
Right.
correct?
Yeah.
Got it, okay.
And
Yeah, we can
I'm
get you that.
particularly interested in the 4 years.
Yeah.
There are some 4 years, but MCC is the largest for
Right.
that population.
I will encourage Chair Williams over there to keep doing what they're doing.
Anything else? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Move on to a student success segment on augmented reality welding program and partnerships. Patrick and Ryan, Patrick, I think I spoke with you at one of the, you were out displaying it at one time.
Yes, yeah.
It was fascinating, so I'm looking forward to this.
All right, so I'll just get started. So augmented reality welding, it's something that we're doing out of our Workforce and Career Solutions office. It's something that's really exciting. Over the last 2-ish years, we've kind of set this program up and we finally graduated our first class and yeah, this one's fine, thank you. What's really exciting is we got a lot of this money from SUNY, part of the transformational funding that they gave out. So we were able to buy these awesome, you can kind of see the shields down here that students wear. The technology is amazing. The students, every single student who graduated ended up getting a job. And we'll talk a little bit more about the interest later, but this is like a really great example of FLCC coming up with an idea, finding funding for that idea, and then that idea becoming successful. And you mentioned students coming to this campus more. That welding class was delivered at this campus. So those would not count in the numbers that Deb had because those were non-credit, but there's still students here, our students graduating with a certification.
So the demographics of the students that we had, the first cohort in the fall was all Wayne County Community Schools Program participants. We partnered with Jay Rostup and his team, and they brought 9 students to us. We started with 9, we finished with 4. Few of those were medical issues, why they had to disenroll. Some of them, 2 of them were by choice, the rest were either legal or medical issues. But for Wayne County, we got between the fall and the spring class, we had 9 participants. That's open enrollment. 2 are from community schools program. The other 10 are open enrollment. One of those 10 is a New York State apprentice. So he's funded with student apprenticeship funds. But the residencies, 8 out of Newark, 5 out of Lyons. And Wayne County, the current class, we have 4 out of Ontario County. We've had 3 women apply for the program. But at the last minute, they decided not to take the class now. We currently have 2 that have told me that they want to start in September. So following the summer, when their children go back to school, they want to start the welding program. But we've had a total of 21 students. Various demographics, average age in the fall was 19.8. And in the spring, we're at 25.3. And the age ranges from 17 to 58. The 17-year-old actually turned 18 the first week of class. So our instructor, Jahan Williams, brought in a cake and the whole class to help celebrate his birthday.
The 18-year-old skew the spring average age.
No, through workforce, we had one gentleman take our foundations course last fall who was 68 years old. He had medical conditions, found himself in the position of having to go back to work and wanted to get current training. So he took our course and he actually got employed with one of our partners with Baldwin Foods.
And so this is, I put here that this is a good problem. These are the districts that have expressed interest in having our virtual welding program as an option for their students, possibly during the school day. Tomorrow, actually, we're meeting with Victor Central Schools at the Victor campus to discuss how we might do that, bringing those students from Victor's campus over to FLCC's Victor campus to take this class and to get the welding skills. The reason it's a bit of a problem is that if all of these schools show interest, we only have a certain amount of devices. And so I keep joking that it's going to be Patrick's full-time job to be driving the devices to various places. Because if we're holding a class here and in Victor, it's not exactly super close, but this has been kind of amazing, the groundswell that we've seen from the districts without really, it being mentioned casually in meetings and so forth with the superintendents, and then them reaching out to us and saying, we're really interested in this, because they're looking for other options besides college for some of their students. They recognize that college might not be the right path, and this is a path where you can get trained quickly, and you can get a job that pays well. What would the average pay was what?
The 4 students in the fall, when we held the job fair with the DOL, they all had multiple offers ranging between $26 and $46 an hour. $46 an hour was from the New York State Department of Highway Bridge Department. And they were told that summertime they'd be working on bridges, wintertime they would be working on snowplows. So they would be all year round, fully employed. And actually, our final student starts work Monday with GW Lisk. He just got hired as their maintenance guy from the fall class. So,
What is the academic time frame in order for one to get that certification, is it?
so they end up with 3 certifications from Miller.
Okay.
MIG, TIG, and stick. The class is 3 days a week, 3.5 hours per day. and 12 weeks long. If you look at Arc and Flame, which is our closest welding competitor, they're over in the Fairport area. There is a 12-month program they offer MIG, TIG, and stick certifications. They also offer AWS certification. We prepare our students for AWS, but in order to sit for the AWS exam, they must have a certain amount of time on the job, which is why Arc and Flame extended their training program so they get the experience in school to take those tests.
So in 12 weeks,
12 weeks. They come in.
$62,000 a year at $30 an hour.
Yeah.
It seems to be an enticement.
And in the fall, they were all under 25.
Trustee Hassel just did the math on that AOT job, 93.6 a year.
I went low. Holy cow,
But-
50,000?
But it,
Yes.
but it begins to tell you what's possible out there.
So
It'd be nice to get the electric truck that was bought by the employers, to put their logos on the sides. To promote those companies, as employers.
Yeah.
They buy us and you mean?
Yeah, why not? Good marketing.
So Ryan, again, you've got four, looks like Wayne County schools. It would come here.
Yeah, I mean, unless they had a very specific reason that they wanted us to come to them, we
Right.
would go to them. There's no reason we couldn't. But generally, we try to bring them here to connect them more with FLCC. Right. Yeah, the idea generally is going to be to hold these at a campus center where possible, but eventually, as we get more partners, it may make more sense to go to them as opposed to making them come to us.
If there's a density as an example of interest. And you mentioned masks is a limitation. Is that what you referred to?
I mean, it's the pieces of technology, so the mast and the monitor and all the equipment that's involved. I think it was the last one,
$30,000
30,000, yeah.
Per-
So,
per unit.
yeah. So we bought the first 5 with transformational funding, and then we just bought, what did we buy, 2 more, Jason?
One.
Bought more, and most of that was transformational funding, but a little bit was operational. So,
And those monies flow through the state from SUNY?
yes.
In ratio of 4 students per 1 unit is what we're operating with right now, and that allows for 12 weeks. All these schools, with the exception of Victor, have, I've done presentations with the tech classes, 6 through 12, which is, they see the interest of the students, which is raised the interest of, let's offer it to our seniors as a full program. So that's where a lot of the interest is coming from, and schools are constantly contacting me. This morning, I was contacted by another Wayne County district. So we're getting ready to schedule another visit with their tech as well.
Is there such a thing as a welding union? A union of welders in the area, or certainly employers, I would think?
I would assume they would be in the sheet metal workers union, but I'm
Yeah.
not totally sure.
Yeah, they fall under 3 different DOL apprenticeship trades. So there has to be unions out there. We just haven't had the need to reach out to them yet because it's such a new program,
Okay.
and the partners that we do have been working very well.
Thanks.
Yes, speak up a little.
So some of the businesses we work with, Wayne County Department of Labor, the Wayne CAP program, Community Schools program, Creation Technology. They see the connection between our welding program and the soldering position that they have. And one of our students, because of travel, he chose to go to work at Creation Tech, so he could be just closer to home for work. As I mentioned before, the Bridge Maintenance Division of the Department of Transportation, Advanced Metal. These are all businesses that were at our first reverse career fair for our students. Students sat at the table, businesses walked around. And these are the businesses that offer them job opportunities.
Wow, that's cool. Never heard of that.
Success story.
This is the graduating class, with our instructor, Jahan Williams. And, I think everybody might recognize the lady on the end, Senator Helmig. She made it. Jay Roscoe had reached out to her, informing her about the program he enrolled some students with. She made it a priority to attend the graduation. And who benefits? Initially, we were looking at the new hires and underemployed. We also opened up the seating to reach unemployment, underemployed individuals looking to move into any demand field. And that has drawn us into students in the art degree program wanting to take the welding class to do sculpture art. So, we're finding new ways each and every day. And we engage with the community. I'm out there every day. Today I was at the job fair at ARC Ontario. I talked to many people. And Friday I'll be at Clyde Savannah once again. Been to Pelmac twice. So I'm out there with the equipment demonstrating it and giving them the opportunities to try it out. Any questions?
And I think I would just add super quick is that one thing that is a great advantage is obviously the mobility, but the lack of the need to build out a space, the lack of the need for a ton of insurance, because obviously if you have students live welding, that could be a problem. So, there are, while the units are expensive up front, I think ultimately they're going to end up paying for themselves in not only saving us money, but also the community benefit that they're bringing.
That's also the benefit of working with community schools program and the work program is we are teaching them in the classroom proper procedures for welding. But in the last week and a half, 2 weeks, we take them to a shop that Jay Roscoe has and they get the on-hands experience, smelling the smoke, feeling the heat, and having the ability to make something that they can keep.
Capacity, is that a challenge? Are we at capacity?
If we get those school districts interested, capacity could be a problem.
Instructors, professors?
That could also be a problem. We are looking into other instructors. We've started that process, because we recognize, teaching here and teaching in Victor, two
Sure.
pretty far apart. And then, what we're going to talk to Victor about tomorrow is trying to get them to commit to a cohort of students that would come over in the fall and do this work at the Victor campus.
Is there consideration of the secondary schools providing funding? Not asked.
Yeah.
Some districts have 20, 30, 40, 60, $80 million budgets. They have 30,000 in their budget to help along.
Yeah, they will be paying for their students to go through this.
True.
But yes, we could most certainly ask. The other thing that we can ask for, I think, in some of these cases is that space that Patrick mentioned for that last period where they need to be actively welding. That's kind of more of an in-kind, but letting our students get in there and use that space to do the work.
I might just add, in addition to the traditional budget, a number of these districts have foundations. And they were, in particular, quite helpful. So, why not ask?
For sure.
Very interesting. Wow.
Any questions or? This is great stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Resolutions to go through, beginning Robin and Ed, with adjusting the professional services roster.
We have a 5-year request.
We do.
And I can talk about Jeff, but Robin has worked with him for a decade, I believe, at this point. A while, so I'd really like her to talk about this.
Very, very impressive read.
I'm pleased to be here this afternoon, and thank you for having me to recommend your approval of the administrative appointment of Jeffrey Babcock Manager, Instructional Technology Systems. Jeff has successfully completed his 5-year probationary period outlined in Article 23, Section 1 of Finger Lakes Community Colleges Professional Association Agreement. Having reviewed with Ed all of the materials included in his 5th-year evaluation, consisting of his self-evaluation, my evaluation as his supervisor, 3 peer evaluations. Actually, I think it's 4, and I probably could have gotten 12 more if I needed. I have found that they fully support the approval of this administrative appointment. All supporting documents highlight the many contributions that Jeff has made to Finger Lakes Community College. And as his immediate supervisor, I would like to take a few moments to review his great work on behalf of the college, and also, well, there's a lot more to it than that. Tears is not part of this, but if it happens, it's part of the story, so I apologize. Mr. Babcock represents everything that FLCC strives to do and to be for this community. Jeffrey came to us as part of our GED program. That's when he first came through the door. He wanted to, he committed himself to setting an example for his children to do better and to make better choices. And that better choices could make a better path in life. I'm sorry, I got part of this memorized and part of it not. Following the attainment of his GED program, he transferred into our AS degree program in communications. It was while he was a student here that he first came in contact with the late great Mr. Bill White, who at the time was manager, instructional technology system. He and Bill formed out of mutual respect and great appreciation, a very close bond. And he began working for Bill as a student aide. Wasn't long before Jeff was in classrooms fixing equipment and in events, running microphone cables and working all of the equipment that we had. Bill really took him under his wings, and they had a really good relationship. After he finished his AS degree program with us, he moved on to SUNY Brockport, where he pursued his bachelor's degree. Wasn't long before he missed us and we missed him. And coincidentally enough, we posted a job for a part-time AD tech. Jeff applied for that, even though he was busy with academics. I was absolutely amazed and awed to find out that Jeff got up pre-dawn in the morning and exercised horses at the racetrack, came to us during the day, 4 days a week, and worked AV events and whatever else we needed. And after taking care of his academic responsibilities and his family responsibilities, could be found many, many nights delivering pizza. That's just the kind of initiative and go-getter that he was. And not one day did he ever come in where he did not have a smile on his face. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen a smile on his face. So he was great, obviously. Working with us as a part-timer was during the time that we started our synchronous program to offer courses between the different campus centers. And he wasn't here for the first 1 or 2 rooms. He started, I think, with the 3rd or 4th room, and he jumped right in. We sent him to work with the professional installers. Well, it wasn't long before he was doing a better job with the professional installers work. In fact, Jeff saved this college thousands of dollars in installation fees when it became obvious. Instead of taking before and after pictures, I took after and after pictures, and we sent them to the vendor. This is after your guys were done. This is after Jeff was done. And John Taylor was able to get all kinds of reductions and installation fees from him, which was kind of cool. So here I am back to where I forgot where I was at now, because I just ramble on like I do. So, upon graduation from Brockport, I was really scared because I thought, uh-oh, now I'm going to lose him. That's it. Why would he stay here in a part-time job? Every day I'd come in and say, this is the day I'm going to get the resignation letter on my desk. Cheryl was, yeah, oh, here we go. There's no way he can stay with us. But he did. He kept coming in every week and he kept working.
In fact, this summer, we all came back from COVID. Jeff worked side by side with our professional installers to complete and supervising them, because by then he was the expert, they no longer were. Creation of 17 high-flex classrooms in one summer on main campus. It was crazy. And not only were they done, but come the start of fall classes, not one of them malfunctioned. Every single one worked perfectly. Unfortunately, we did not have a full-time position back then to offer him, but we kept saying, come on in here. Well, you know, he was building his skill set. Look at all the things you're learning and bonding with everybody. So here comes the tears. One Saturday night, 4.5 years ago, I was coming home for dinner with my husband. My phone rang and it was John Taylor. Those of you who might have worked with John Taylor, he did not call you on the weekend unless it was an emergency. So I was like, this is not going to be a good thing. And it wasn't. We learned that night that Bill White had been tragically killed in an automobile accident. It was a hard time for all of us. And, but as you all know, life goes on and events go on. And we ended up offering Jeff an interim position, which led to a small internal search. And there was no question that he was going to get that job because he had earned it. And through his grief and probably a little bit of guilt, he took that job and he committed to filling Bill's shoes. And he filled them beautifully and making Bill proud. And I know Bill is proud. I know he is. So thank you anyway. Get through that. Dr. Don, who's not here. I'm sorry he's not here. And members of the Board of Trustees, I am proud to stand here today and wholeheartedly endorse the appointment of Mr. Jeffrey Babcock, Manager, Instructional Technology Systems, to full administrative appointment. In my opinion, he truly exemplifies FLCC's mission, vision, and values. Thank you.
Jeff, I think we've all seen you do your work around here. I don't think we ever really fully appreciated the outcome of that. We've gotten a lot of these recommendations come through. They're all amazing. This one's otherworldly. Yes. My hat's off to you.
Thank you.
Well, we will be voting on this during the meeting for sure. Dr. Ortiz?
Taking a shortcut.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
As provost, one of my greatest honors and greatest joys is to witness the ongoing contributions and leadership of our faculty. It is a privilege to work alongside these dedicated educators to see firsthand the profound impacts that they have on our students and to be able to make the recommendations tonight based on my personal professional experiences with each one of them. Their unwavering commitment to excellence in teaching, scholarship, and service strengthens the foundation of Finger Lakes and also enriches the lives of all those they teach and mentor. So faculty are at the heart of FLCC, and their work extends far beyond the classroom. They shape the intellectual curiosity of our students, mentor them through challenges, and prepare them for an ever-evolving world. Today, we recognize faculty candidates who are striving to advance in academic rank, from assistant professor to associate professor, and from associate professor to professor. Each step making a deeper commitment, leadership and responsibility. Associate professors embody not just excellence in teaching, but also innovation in curriculum development, student mentorship, contributions to institutional service, and the academic life of the college. Their engagement in scholarly work, shared governance, and community partnerships strengthens FLCC's reputation and impact. So for promotion from assistant professor to associate professor, I recommend Jessica Brinza, Health Science and Human Performance, Mary Del Mastro, Visual and Performing Arts, Dave Gadu, Computing Sciences, and Tomas Gonzalez, Business. Yeah, so they can see you. And I don't know if, do we have any others online? I know some folks were planning to join us remotely. Well, we will acknowledge them. Yes? Okay. Tomas is there. So Tomas Gonzalez is there, and I believe that is it for this group. Tomas Gonzalez is also my professor in, I'm taking family law this semester. So I have a very firsthand experience of Tomas Gonzalez's excellence in the classroom. So we will go on to professors. Professors, as senior faculty members, assume the mantle of leadership, guiding both students and colleagues. They serve as mentors, drive institutional initiatives, and contribute significantly to their disciplines. The role is not only to educate, but to inspire, to challenge, and to advance the mission of FLCC. For promotion from associate professor to professor, I recommend Eric Duchess, I saw him online, Paul Engen, Visual and Performing Arts, Amy Flagler, Patty Patricia Rockwell, Environmental Conservation and Horticulture, and Shana Turner Johnson, Nursing. Those folks, we have Eric online, Paul Engen is also with us remotely. Amy Flagler is with us remotely. Patty was not able to be with us, and Shana Turner Johnson is with us in person. It is with great enthusiasm that I present these recommendations for your consideration and approval. We are excited to see these faculty members as they continue to innovate, collaborate, and lead us as they move into the next stage of their academic careers and furthering the advancement of education and holistic student success here at FLCC. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now I am back for sabbatical. That was my exit stage room. Good afternoon. It is a privilege to bring forward with my highest recommendations and without reservation 3 exceptional faculty members. Assistant Professor Dave Gadu, Computing Science, Professor Meg Gillio, Humanities, and Associate Professor Sarah Morgan, Visual and Performing Arts, for 1 semester sabbatical leaves for spring 2026. Sabbaticals are an essential investment in both our faculty and our institution, allowing dedicated educators the time and energy to research, for professional development, for artistic expression, and innovative projects that ultimately enhance student learning and academic excellence at FLCC. I know that you have summaries of their projects in your packet, but I can assure you that each of these faculty presented compelling plans for their sabbatical, making sure that they align with our work to advance teaching and learning excellence and holistic faculty and student success. Their proposed work will not only contribute to their individual growth, but also bring lasting benefits to our programs, curriculum, and the students we serve. And just quickly, I would like to acknowledge the process. I was able to serve as an ex officio member on the sabbatical leave committee, which was expertly chaired by Delia Ackerman, who is an associate professor of humanities, and Paul Engen, associate professor of visual performing arts. So I can confidently say that these recommendations reflect both a deep commitment by the faculty on their development and a strategic investment in the future of our institution, faculty, and students. So with that, I thank you in advance for your consideration of these recommendations, and I look forward to the positive impact that these sabbaticals will have on our FLCC community. So, thank you, and we do have Dave Gadu again. Meg and Sarah are with us, but thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you. Pretty cheeky, Dave. Get promoted and then run off on sabbatical.
I was thinking the same.
Let's see the name.
Since David is with us, I was wondering if we might ask him what his sabbatical plan was. Is that a topic?
Yeah. I'm in my capacity as the CPL, continuing learning. I've read about 120 books on cognitive science and tangentially related. And they're all great, but it's hard to go to people and come like, oh, you should read this book, you should read this book. So this book is going to be called The Atomic Educator. I'll be writing book. That's a very blatant. Digestible pieces that will distill the topics in all these books. And I kind of have kind of the footnotes at the end of every chapter, so that we can photocopy the pages and put them out. We're doing press development and some topics. So each atom of learning will be a molecule. I hate chemistry, class, but I like the analogy. So a molecule will be like maybe 4 or 5 mini chapters on like maybe equity and grading or reasoning for the way grading works. And so the idea is to put forward professional development by promoting these little nuggets and little atoms of ways to differentiate your impact in the classroom. And then at the end of every chapter, I list the books where you can improve.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity.
Final resolution, we'll be considering this, that we're all lawful. Discuss course, strategic plans. I see a number of the.
We have some folks on.
Hello, everyone. You were provided with this handout ahead of time, but I did bring hard copies if you'd like. I always like a hard copy, just think they're sort of nice. I'll pass those around. So we are here again this evening to provide to you, fully recommended by Government Stack and the 2+2 committee that has really deliberated over several weeks and many 8 a.m. meetings. Many thanks to those committee members who did a very good and difficult job to wrestle with great ideas and innovation and limited resources and taking that job seriously. And that is something that is not super easy to do, and they did it very well and took the assignment to heart. So we've spent time looking at all of the applicants, and we used a rubric in order to assess them, as well as then really working through even beyond the rubric. What does this mean for the work here? What does this mean for what we're forwarding? You may recall that last late summer, early fall, we met in one of your retreats, and you charged me with providing additional focus to the 2+2 committee and to those who would be applying for the strategic plan grants to make sure that we're looking at building on past projects, having sustained collaboration with external communities, and artificial intelligence over and above those items that, while those are in the strategic plan and exist in the strategic plan, adding that particular emphasis from the board. We have coded using those symbols, which of these match to those particular additional priorities. That was a specific task of the 2+2 committee in weighing the proposals to look at to what degree folks were able to provide potential innovation within both the strategic plan and the board guidance. So I have today for you the recommendation to fund several projects. I will very briefly highlight them. I will not read this piece of paper to you because I know you are all able to read and have read them already. And we do have most of the folks who are able to join us either here in the room or online and can answer questions if you have them, or I can answer questions. And of course, as their projects continue, assuming your approval, they will periodically come back to this board and provide updates as we have in the past. So the first project is from Tomas Gonzalez, and that is Lexis AI in Paralegal Studies. And I think this is a particularly good example of how innovation sometimes is brought to your door. And with the advent and rapid acceleration of AI, the paralegal area is already adopting that, and the advisory board in paralegal has specifically said to Professor Gonzalez, the best paralegals, the paralegals that will get jobs that will continue to be employed will be those that can use the AI tools in the paralegal profession. So this allows us to get those tools as part of the curriculum, gives Tomas also some time to rework them into his curriculum, and provides licensure to the two librarians as well, because their work with him and with the students is imperative. So it's not a Band-Aid. It's really looking at how do we make sure this program can meet the new demand as a whole curriculum and as a whole system. And it also allows us to really move forward and look at where we are 5 years from now, not looking back and saying, hey, we should have done that. Next one looks at single stop software to support basic student needs. It's a particularly innovative item. As you all know, we've had many discussions about basic needs, and there have been several other strategic plan grants over recent years that have focused on meeting students' basic needs. When students are hungry, they can't learn. That's what it comes down to. If they don't have a roof over their heads, they can't learn. So it is incumbent upon us as a community college in particular to think through those needs have been rising. This is a particularly interesting tool. It allows our folks here to help the students really look at what available resources are out there, given their specific needs, and connect them directly with the agencies that provide that help. Ultimately, we can't do everything, but this allows us to still help the students get where they need to go with up-to-date information and not a Google search about what we don't know about. It's a much more efficient way to help students. The next project, which you all are familiar with, and certainly is a building on past projects idea, the anatomage tables. It's taken me a year to pronounce that. I still get it wrong most of the time. So in inner applause that I got that. So this is initially not for another table, but it does recommend or earmark money in the existing funds going forward for another table, but provides time and expertise, as well as some updates to the existing table, so that the nursing faculty and the incubator area can prepare for that table to come in. And looking here at Shayna, giving faculty a tool is really important. You don't just snap your fingers and be able to integrate that. Same with the AI for Professor Gonzalez, making sure they're ready for it. It's already integrated into the curriculum, and when it comes in and can be installed, we're ready to go, was of paramount importance to the committee. Again, in looking at their role as stewardship of innovative funds, they wanted to make sure this would be successful. So that recommendation is compound with achieving those and then moving forward next year with having earmarked those funds.
Coincidentally, just before we started,
Yes.
our student trustee is living this experience. And maybe you could just speak for a minute about.
So for those of you who don't know, I'm a full-time student at Nazareth while taking part-time classes at FLCC, and I'm in the nursing program at Nazareth. And I was telling you today that I feel like the instruction I got for my prereqs for nursing have impacted me far greater than some of the cohort students who took the same prereqs at Nazareth themselves. I feel a lot better prepared, and a lot of it has to do with the implementation of different technology for those prerequisites.
That's wonderful.
Including this, which Nazareth does not
You
have,
know,
this particular
Well,
modality.
they can come visit us. We'll do it.
Very.
In fact, Professor Miller, who I believe is online, she has done a great job with identifying some folks to really concentrate on that outreach and connecting with people. We hosted some high school classes. We've had conversations with a whole host of other partners. And I think that is one of the reasons why we coded this as community engagement, because what we're finding is this is another way in which community engagement is emerging, even though very initially when Dr. Miller applied for the original grant last year, this was a student success grant. It was a tool to help students like Misty learn, and it's doing that, but it's more than that. And that's really the heart and soul of these strategic plan grants. So when we see those things happen, it's particularly exciting. I don't think they happen by accident. I think it is because we're doing a good job choosing these things and supporting them and helping people move further.
Thanks for that insertion. I
Yes.
appreciate it.
So next up, culinary arts mixed reality. So every year I sort of have one that I'm not allowed to say is my favorite, just like with your kids. But I'm really excited about this one because it's so interesting, and Christine Parker is here. Such a great example. This actually doesn't have the community engagement code on it yet, but I am confident it will, as we move further, it will become community engagement as well. It is certainly building on past projects. As you all know, Professor Parker has worked for many years from an original strategic plan grant on Hollow Anatomy, Hollow Lens, using AR technology, very exciting. And this project partners with our culinary program, with Chef Jamie Rotter, and really looking at how do we bring new experiences to our culinary students. Very briefly, they're going to learn how to butcher a cow. That is not something they can currently do because, as you may imagine, bringing in a cow dead or alive in FLCC for them to cut up in the cafe might not go over well and might present some problems. And yet it's a really important part of their training, right? So this is extremely exciting. It also has a lot of different applications. It is not happening. They've done a lot of research about what's out there already. This is not out there. There's also some implications for field dressing and hunting in the conservation area with very similar visualization. So very exciting. I think it's just going to be a project to watch.
You also mentioned fish and chicken, I mean, smaller animals.
Yes, yes. The cow just has
No, I
a good.
understand.
Yeah.
It's impactful.
So, and I don't think they'd like chickens being butchered in the cafe.
Yeah. Think about the ball and fish.
The next project is also really fascinating, and such a testament to the work that our faculty do over the long haul, and also the 2+2 committee really sort of seeing a vision. And Professor Termini, Professor Brunel wrote 2 separate proposals, and the 2+2 committee said, we really think there's something here, and we'd like to ask them if they work together. Because the synergy is too important, and they were open to it and embraced the idea, which is exciting. When sometimes we can see something they didn't know was there, because we get the opportunity to see so many applications. So they'll be working together on an applied learning project that will work very directly with high school students, bringing high school students to main campus and working with area businesses, and connecting with some of our students who don't have an internship as part of their curriculum, but they're looking for project-based job experience. So it's both high school students, and Liz's idea was very similar, but looking at our students. And we'll be using our burgeoning downtown connections with the Art Space project as a starting off point, particularly for downtown business connections for some of those opportunities. We're very excited about that as well. I think some good things coming forward. The next one is looking at developing AI policy and processes for tutoring. This is going to be co-funded by the AI think tank. As our CFO reminded us, he is a member of the 2+2 committee. Really, the money's in the same area, so this is maybe not as important of a difference. But as the co-lead of the AI committee, I can say they were also very excited about saying, no, we want to do this together. This is a strategic innovation, but this is very much the work we're doing, and we want to make sure that we're a part of that and connecting to it. So that will be very interesting to see how that progresses, and I think set a standard for some of the work that other areas will likely be doing as well. And the last one is we occasionally find a project that we're excited about, but think there are more questions and more work to be done. And that was the case with Professor Samantha's project, and I know I saw him. Where the committee gets very excited about it, but has a lot of questions and wants to give the applicant an opportunity to really dig in and work on that. And sometimes it's sort of the seed before the seed project. We've had that before and had it work very successfully. This is another one of those cases. So we're excited to help Professor Samantha develop this into a full-blown project and see where it goes forward. And that looks particularly at serving underemployed sector within tech careers. Those are the projects that we're recommending to you for this round of strategic plan grant funding in year 2 of this strategic plan. And I'm happy to answer questions, and or, as I said, many of the applicants are here.
I'd like to lead off with a comment with questions, and that is, I don't think that the board, at least I can speak for myself, envision the extent of the innovation and cooperation that this is built. It's like the silo busters, you know,
It is very exciting.
really, really fun to watch this on campus. Trustee Mahela, Trustee Martin, myself, and Dr. Nye presented on this in Seattle to other colleges. It was, I mean, we got mocked. We couldn't get out of the room, and some of them dragged.
That's exciting.
President Mahela can meet to a place with wine to try to fly out of it.
I said, at least FLCC wine, and they remind this West.
Seattle. But it was, it just speaks to something that I don't think many colleges get to do. And I think it's beyond, I think, our wildest dreams. I think it's just exceptional, and looking at the quality of this is just so exciting.
Thank you for those words.
So with that, any questions on the?
No, I would just add, I mean, in that particular session, it was embraced. We had nearly 30 separate, unique questions. There might have been a comment in there, and folks that were not on their devices, they were engaged. You know, we're out looking at them, and it was really remarkable. It was SRO, it was really standing room only, and, lots of concurrent session choices, and probably 15 or 17, and, to see folks, interested in what's happening here, so they can take it back somewhere else in the nation.
Exciting.
It's, really unique, so kudos,
Likewise,
and an impressive round two,
I agree. Some
without
really good
exception,
work.
everyone.
And I would just like to thank everyone and their innovative ideas for letting us go out and brag about this stuff as everybody's jaw dropped. So, thank you. The one question I had is, are any of these time bound?
Yes, I mean, they're all time bound to some degree. Most of them go through the end of the strategic plan. Some of them, like the anatomage table and eventual second table, we follow that project. The sort of disbursement of funds ends once the table is purchased. The same with single stop is primarily purchasing the software. There is some support for some work and prep as we talked about. But any project that's funded through the strategic plan process, we follow throughout the time period. My colleague Jay Donahue, who's here, does an amazing job herding a group of people who are very excited about everything they do, but making sure that, he meets with them monthly, keeps me updated and brings me in when we need to like dig into more things. We track specific metrics on their assessment plans. Sometimes those metrics also have to be changed. Sometimes we learn things along the way. And by meeting really regularly and tracking that, we're able to really see where it's going or identify, wait a second, this is a project, I'm gonna use anatomage again, where we really have to start talking about community engagement. That wasn't in the original proposal, but that's becoming a part of this. So that kind of thing happens throughout. So as we conclude out this strategic plan, 3.5 years from now or whatnot, you'll continue to hear about them even if we've expended the majority of the funds.
I just have one other add, and I defer to my colleagues as well. One of the other embedded questions and even side questions throughout the day or two that we were out in Seattle afterwards was, how about those that led these projects? Can we hear from them as trustees throughout the rest of the country? What worked, maybe what didn't? So maybe somewhere in the future, there's an opportunity to send some of these fine folks to speak directly, no filter. And, and as we get through round 1 and 2 and subsequent rounds, that was a piece that we're maybe not quite ready for, but I think is something that would really just.
I think that we are at a point where for this strategic plan, obviously, these projects are all relatively new. These are just beginning. The ones last year, even, we have a couple that pieces of equipment just came in this semester, so they're essentially just beginning. But one of the things I think is most remarkable about this initiative here at the college is this has been going on for 3 strategic plans and 2 presidents. That is an extremely mature initiative in the world of education. So we have learned a lot, and we do have early successes. We have projects that have led to other projects. We have things like HoloLens that are leading to a whole new way of thinking. So that line is interesting to think, even as some of these are immature. So I wholeheartedly agree, and I think it's okay for me also to share that Dr. Nye, Provost Ortiz, Dr. Tumini, Beth Johnson, and I are all going to the American Association of Community Colleges meeting in about a week, where we will be talking about this initiative, and Professor Tumini and Johnson's will also be talking about having received both early grants way back in the day, as well as where we are now as current recipients, and spending time on the deliberation board. So I think we're getting there. And the next step will be even more mature look at that.
My final comment would be, I'd even consider on a national level, pulling it out of the concurrent and making it a keynote. Make it a lunch talk or something.
That would be exciting.
Well, you know you're gonna get people there.
Yeah.
You're breaking bread, they're gonna be there, and make it that 45-minute.
Yeah. There's
concentration.
certainly
There's that much of
interest. Yes, and it's very exciting to hear from all of the trustees that gave that presentation from you directly. I hadn't heard that from Dr. Nunn, but what the response was. I have had that experience, even just in meetings with SUNY folks when it comes up, that the response has been quite remarkable. People are very interested in how to do something.
I mean, we heard words like investment versus expense.
Yeah,
I mean, they got it.
yeah.
They
And
really
see
did.
see the vision.
Yeah, so,
Excellent.
well done.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Just a comment, just when I think that they can't do anything more with something. I mean, how much more can that anatomy table do?
Apparently a lot.
The other fields will, Christie, find programs for. So. It is, exactly what the board had envisioned when we insisted that the word dynamic be in our mission. And it's us. Very much has exceeded expectations.
So, I'm so pleased. So I'll leave these as recommendations with you if you don't have further questions. And of course, we'll be back over the course of the strategic plan, continue to follow these and the other projects. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. Well,
Moving on to supporting healthcare community, education in our community. Matt, Shana.
Yeah, it has some handouts for everybody. We sent them along as well. There's a couple additional ones that we printed for you all. I think I've probably met everybody at some events, whether it's pinning or different events that I've been to, but Shanna Turner Johnson, current nursing department chairperson.
Hello, I'm Megan Murphy. I'm the Director of Academic Advising, Career and Transfer Services.
Matt introduced himself earlier when he decided to be part of that presentation as well. He was fine. So we're going to talk a little bit about supporting healthcare education in our community. I'm going to start the show, and then Matt and Megan are going to talk as well to some things. Yep. So nursing expansion is where we thought we would start. Not only our building, but our department has grown so much in the last couple of years. Prior to the 2022-2023 academic year, we only enrolled 80 students each fall. That was the only entry point into our AAS nursing program for RN students. Beginning in spring of 23, we started dual intake, so we admitted students fall and spring. That goal is 64 for the fall and 64 for the spring. Excited to say that we just admitted 62 this past spring. Enrollments, the 2 springs before that were in the mid-20s to close to 30. So that's more than double what we had admitted our last 2 springs. We still have 59 of those students, which I think is also a great success. We always see a little attrition in the beginning, folks not really knowing, is this really what I want to do? Or life events come up. So we're really retaining a lot of those students currently, which is another exciting piece. Along with expanding the number of seats in our program, our building expansion occurred simultaneously. On the next slide, I'm also going to talk about our curricular change, all 3 which occurred almost simultaneously, not necessarily planned, but lots of planning goes into it, and they all ended at the same point, really rolling out in this fall 22 semester. This past fall of 24, we also started our LPN certificate program. We admitted 16 students into that program. We currently still have 11 of those students in the program. They're being successful. They're in their 2nd semester, and they will actually finish in August. So it's a 12-month certificate program. We have already more than 16 students interested for next fall. So we've gotten permission to expand that to 32 students for fall of 25. And we anticipate we'll be pretty close to that goal, if not at that goal for fall of 25. And then although our CNA program doesn't fall under our credit bearing courses like these other 2 programs do, they're all tied together, and we've been working really hard to create pathways amongst those programs. So students want to come in as CNA, do they want to go then on to LPN, or do they want to go on to RN? Do they want to start at LPN and go to RN? We've been working with our admissions folks and our advising folks to really create different pathways to help students get where they want to be, maybe where they didn't even know they wanted to be, but once they're in a program, how do they get to the next program? So
54 students in that program, which is under workforce currently, but certainly we work closely together with a goal of 60 students for this past 24-25 year. So good enrollment there. Some other updates and successes I wanted to talk about is that concept-based curriculum that I mentioned. So in the fall of 22, after several years of work, we rolled out what's called a concept-based curriculum. Most nursing programs teach a medical model, a disease process, what is the pathophysiology of that, what are the treatment mechanisms, and then what is nursing care related to that. 5 to 7 years ago, there was a really big push in nursing education to go to a concept-based curriculum. We actually brought in a national consultant to work with us on this project and roll out this curriculum. The idea is that instead of teaching students every disease process, and every treatment, you teach concepts like perfusion or oxygenation and all of the disease processes that fall underneath there. So when we teach nursing care of those disease processes, I can teach you how to care for a patient who has a perfusion problem, and that could be 10 disease processes. And so it really has been successful. In 24, we saw 100% NCLEX pass rate. So our first timers who went out to take the boards, 100% of them passed. We couldn't be more ecstatic about that. That did follow an NCLEX change in the spring of 23. There was a huge change to that exam to what's called the next generation NCLEX. More clinical judgment, more case studies, a little bit more interactive of an experience instead of just multiple choice and multiple answers. We've seen a national increase, but not to 100%. So we are still well above the national percent, and we are very ecstatic about that. Right beyond that, we also have 100% job placement rates, which is probably no surprise. There's a huge need out in the community, hence hopefully why we're seeing this increase in enrollment. We're working with our community partners, especially Thompson, partnering with them for clinical placements and facilities. We sent our LPN students there for their very first clinical rotation to their continuing care center where we had never had students before. So just really working to increase that partnership. Last thing I want to say here, just to put it all on our radar every chance I get, our accrediting body, ACEN, will be coming in for their 8-year visit. So they visit us every 8 years. They will be here next March, the 3rd through the 5th. And I will be sending out invites to board members for sure to please come and partake in meetings with them and discussions with them about our program. And we'll spend this next year writing our self-study document, which will be submitted to them next January. With the hope certainly that we have continuing accreditation, which we have at each of our visits. To talk a little bit more about the pathways. So this past fall and spring, this past spring and then entering into this fall, we opened up some additional pathways into our program. The one that probably means the most, I think, to our students is our direct healthcare or healthcare studies pathway. What this pathway did was it created a direct line for our internal students who are enrolled in healthcare studies to have first dibs at seats in the nursing program. So really helping to retain our currently enrolled students. That started for this spring semester. We had 22 students in that, and we probably will have 50 something for the fall. We're right in the middle of admissions right now. That's why I'm looking at my folks over here, supporting in those numbers, out of 64 seats. Wow. So that's huge. Students are now aware of it. They're taking advantage of that opportunity, and they're giving priority to the seats outside of our external candidates. I'm not going to dive too much into this. It's really just some nuts and bolts, and so much of that is in these handouts that we provided you. These are handouts that our marketing department did a fantastic job on. And these ones in the middle in particular talk to these different pathways, the prerequisites to nursing, and then ultimately these pathways. One of the other things we did by altering admissions to the program was we got rid of the TEAS exam as a requirement that everybody had to take. So prior to that time, every student coming into our program had to take that entrance exam. And while it can be a good indicator of success in the first semester, we know there's many other things that can be indicators of success in the nursing programs. We really felt like it was the time to be a little more holistic in our admission process in looking at students in different ways. It's still an option for students if they so choose to take it, but we've just kind of afforded them some different opportunities now via the different pathways. I'm going to pass on to my peer over here.
Thank you, Shayna.
You're welcome, Matt.
Thank you for the intro.
You introed yourself earlier.
Okay, so I think Shayna did a great job of explaining kind of how we got to this point. One of the things though that I'd like to lean on for just a sec before we move on is by creating so many different pathways, it's a very complex way of looking at the program because they're ultimately ending up in one spot. But what this does is it provides viable on-ramps for high school students, our current students, transfer students, LPNs in the community. And it really provided a creative opportunity that forced us to really work together in a way that we could change the way we did nursing admissions essentially at the school. And that's really what I'm going to focus on. So if you think really up high, there was a nursing expansion team, which was led by Dr. Ortiz and Dr. Urbatus. And this is a bi-monthly meeting. And this was where they basically coalesced all the stakeholders, got us all in a room and said, all right, we have this opportunity in front of us. Now we need to figure out how to operationalize this right now to figure out how to offer it to students. So what we did was the next step was we have a nursing working group. And this is kind of like take a little bit of the air out of the balloon and go down to like the ground level. This is where the key offices and the heads of those offices actually got together, and this group meets every other week. And we talk through every single thing about this. Our systems, our calendars, our people, our training, the communication, how are we talking with our constituents, all the current policies and practices, how they need to be adjusted. How do we develop all these materials? What does the website say? What do we do to get out to the community? And more importantly, how do we all work together? Because that is really the crux of this whole thing. This story for me is basically how all of these different offices put into practice a very critical thing. And we're at the beginning of it, but we've seen some very early signs of success for us and for our students. So a couple of the things that I really wanted to highlight was our slate system, which I know some of you have seen me present on it before, but this was really the integral piece, at least on the front end, in order to operationalize it. So we built a nursing specific application. We built a review process, which was dynamic for these different pathways. We figured out how to communicate with students in a different way. So high school students versus current students in healthcare study versus transfer students off the street. This all has to be coded, tracked, and communicated the right way at the right time, leading them to the right office with the correct call to action to do next. It also provided us with the functionality to do all this ranking we're talking about. What's best about this system is that the current students that come in, what we heard all along from high schools was, yeah, this program is great. Everyone wants to do nursing, but it's very difficult to get into. So by offering a chance for students to come in, take a few classes, build up their credits, show their worth, and then walk right into a seat in the nursing program, give them first seat at the table, and then rank our other current students with external candidates, that affords more opportunity for our current students to get into the program. And also it really focuses and allows us to be hyper competitive for external candidates. So we're really taking the best of our internal candidates, the best students off the street, and then giving that middle ground student who comes in and needs to build up their power bars a little bit, an opportunity to achieve what they want to do with the college. So a couple screenshots with that Slate CRM. This doesn't look impressive, but I guarantee you there's a lot of grades behind it. But essentially, if you think about it, we have healthcare students, they're coming in. We have RN candidates off the street. We have current students applying to the program. We have LPN students. So all these folks are using a different application instrument to get into different programs at different times. And now we have spring and fall. We have aggressive goals. The guts of this essentially allows us to track, maintain, communicate. We share a review process. So admissions evaluates, then we share the department, then they share back with us. And then we're allowed to basically do 2 reviews for every intake term. And this is just a sample of what this form looks like. And this is just the result of it. This is a dynamic form. So if you're an internal student, we do initial assessment. Say, are you qualified for direct admit? Yes, no. If not, what do your points look like? Yes, no. Do you need to take the T's? Yes, no. Think about all those different variables and touch points. And we're talking hundreds of current students that have all different backgrounds, all different transfer credits, all different classes, and when they come in at a different time of the year. Let's keep all that straight. This system allows us to do that. And I'm gonna pause for a second because there's two people that are not in the room. One is Ann Krakowski, she's our lead nursing recruiter. She has been the tip of the spear for this. And then Alyssa Massey, she is the lead for Slate. And she worked with all of us and had all of our crazy ideas and we threw all these business rules at her. And she continually has worked to build a better process. So how do we promote it though? So I think you get a sense, we've got these new publications designed, but these are some of the efforts that have gone into it. Kristen Accardi has presented on the new website, and all the efforts that have gone into that. But prior to that, we've continually been working on the nursing website, and it's basically a persona-based experience. If I'm a high school student and I'm interested in nursing, I've got a section. If I'm currently enrolled at the college, I've got a section. If I'm an LPN and I work at Thompson, I've got a section. Because each one of these has all different kind of layers to it, and it's very difficult to unpack. No size fits all. We developed the marketing materials. We have a digital campaign, which we're able to tap into Perkins funding. Spent about $20,000 going out targeted social digital ads in the region to promote the different programs. We offer up one-on-one counseling appointments. Every week, we have 1 day designed for in-person and 1 day designed for online. And they're every hour on the hour, and they always fill up. And the online appointments, twice a month, we do in the evening. So they start at 2 p.m. and they end at 9 p.m. And that counselor, usually it's Ann, she's at home, and every hour in the hour, she's meeting with students. Very custom approach. We've got group sessions, we're touring the heck out of that new facility, which is so beautiful. Thank you so much for letting us in all the time. The other piece is the high school counselors in the area, and we touched upon it a little bit when Deb was talking about, the districts and all that. We have a very good relationship with the school counselors in our service area. Between admissions, the financial aid office, between our K-12 initiatives, Gemini, we are able to communicate and get the word out. This was music to their ears. One, opening up an LPN, and then having an opportunity for a really strong candidate to come into FLCC, take a fall semester, and then transition into the nursing program. They've been asking for that. Like, that is the one thing. And the minute we got that out to them, and they're like, yes, and we're seeing the numbers go up. It's viable. They can actually get into the program, and it's a pathway for a lot of students. And we already mentioned partnership with Thompson, but they work with us on the front door as well.
Yep.
So I know we have the relationship with the department, but just for example, the week of spring break, in 2 weeks, we're doing a 2-day event where we have high school students, there's 15 total, and we did it last year too. Most are from Canandaigua and from Victor. They come on our campus for a day, and then the next day they're in the hospital. So they get the dual experience to find out, is this really right for me? The higher ed side and then the work side. So there is a fairly concerted effort that has gone into this that has required quite a bit of effort across campus. And I will pause there. Any questions about all this, or for our advisor expert who has all this every day saying, what about me?
The last slide mentioned the partnership with the hospital of Canada. Has there been any targeted effort to approach Geneva and have the same partnership with them in our hospital system as we have in Canandaigua?
We work with Geneva. We have students there doing clinical at Geneva every single semester. They have their own RN and LPN programs, so sometimes, that's a little bit challenging just because we are competitors to some degree. But we certainly always collaborate. We're on each other's advisory boards. I sit on theirs, they sit on ours for nursing. And so we work closely together because of proximity, but also we use their facility for clinical, and they're always welcoming to have us in the facility, despite the fact that we're competitors.
Just to build on that, is there other medical providers, maybe non-hospitals, that we have looked at for partnerships? Some of us have medical providers where an intern might be in an exam room, and that comes maybe through a hospital or through some coordination. Is there any opportunity with other medical providers that we might provide partnerships with?
So recently, New York State Ed actually mandated that we had to provide clinical experience in all specialty areas to our students, which was a change, meaning obstetrics, pediatrics, and mental health. You used to be able to kind of pick and choose in most schools, but do 2 of the 3 just based on curricular constraints. But they said, no, you got to have something in each. And so we're trying to partner with Canandaigua School District right now with their school nurses to get our students out there to see pediatric experience in the school setting. We know that school nurses can often be difficult positions to recruit. So kind of helping each other, showing our students what that school nurse role is like, but also then educating our students on care of the pediatric population. And so we're working on that. Hopefully in the fall, we'll have that partnership built a little bit more. The same with some of our VA kind of offsites. Being on site at VA can be a little challenging sometimes just because of the requirements, background checks, all sorts of legal requirements, but some of their offsites have a little bit less. So we're trying to work on some of those partnerships as well.
Thank you.
Trustee Willie?
I just wanted to amplify on Jeff's question about Clifton Springs or Soldiers and Sailors. They're not far away. Is there any relationship there, formal or informal?
We have students at Clifton Springs, at Newark, at Geneva, at Thompson. We are in almost all of our facilities. Soldiers and Sailors, just based on their changes to what their inpatient status looks like, we don't tend to use them as much now because they've decreased so much and they are a little bit more mental health focused. But we have an affiliation agreement with them if we need to push into those areas. But we, every semester, have students at Clifton, Newark, Thompson, and Geneva, and then our city hospitals as well.
So, so are you at capacity for enrollment right now, given what the programs that kind of just outlined?
We believe we'll be waitlisted for the fall. We've already sent out more than 6,400 for the fall. So we believe we'll have 64 students in that seat come the fall.
And do you have, my final question, do you have any RTIC with bachelor programs, baccalaureate programs such as Fisher?
We do have articulation agreements with several of our local institutions. Off the top of my head, I can't list all of those, but I know that we do. Looking around the room, see who else is in the room.
So I oversee transfer as well. So we do have connections with Rockport and St. John Fisher and Nazareth. Sometimes it's our healthcare studies pathway, but then we also have connections certainly with our students. And we actually bring those institutions in fall and spring to meet with third semester students and fourth semester students to meet directly to talk to them about their opportunities once they're done.
Great.
We've been working recently with FUCA again as well to bring back the RNCSN program on our campus, hoping that we can revive that and bring that back as well. It'll be offered by them, but offered in our building and a direct pipeline for our students to go into that program.
Thanks.
The governor's come out with a initiative for students that don't fit any of your current directly. Indirectly they do, but as a group, there isn't like that category of 25 to.
Yeah, it's a student.
We've heard of those. I'm just curious, they're gonna put I believe $1 million into marketing, and that's actually starting to gear up now. Just love to get your impressions of what you think that might do, or how it might impact you, or what your opinion is.
Sure. I mean, I can go first with that one. I mean, this is a golden opportunity for the community colleges, which always get, well, recently I feel like they're kind of left behind with some of the other sectors in SUNY. I know that internally we've got a group together, marketing is already pulling together and working with SUNY so we can jump on this thing right away. My goal, and I hope what this all allows us to do is, everyone asks the question, who's our competitor, or how are we beating MCC, or like, what are we doing better than other schools? And now we say, that's not the question to ask anymore. The question is, what are you doing to convince people that they should go to college? I mean, that's reality right now. I mean, you see the way the winds are blowing. You know, we're up against every aspect of life. It's not choosing between us and Brockport. Hopefully what this might allow us to do is to convince a student who might be on the fence of whether or not they want to do one of these programs that's outlined. Yes, they can go because now the incentive is there financially for them to do it. Or maybe they don't have to sacrifice their opportunity cost from a job that they're walking away from. I think that is what we have to win on. And like, that's going to be our sweet spot.
Yeah.
Relevant jobs, do something to make your life better, solve a problem in your life, have it go in front of you. And the state is helping us out with that. I think that's our mark. I don't know if that answers your question directly.
Because there, everybody's from all different aspects of.
So I work with students every single day, and it can be really heartbreaking when we talk about cost. And especially when I'm talking about with older students who are juggling, several jobs, a commute, and a family. And so to think of where financial aid may sometimes end or where they need more support, this will create opportunities for students who I worked with when they were 19, and then they came back 10 years later. This creates another opportunity for them but for this, they may not have the same pathway. And so I'm excited to see. I, of course, have many, many questions for SUNY in terms of the fine print, but I think overall it's going to be a really great opportunity for some students who may not consider us or anywhere except for this opportunity. I think that's going to break that barrier. We will treat them the same, right? When they come in, we work with adult students every single day. My work will not change. We'll probably be busier this summer. I expect it. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see that some of these barriers that are often out of my control and out of their control, maybe a little bit less of a burden, or at least less for them to think about as they kind of become a student again, the first time in a long time for many students.
Our program isn't built off of traditional age students. Our program is built off of non-traditional age students. And that's very normal for us. When we look at our age, we might have a small bit of students between 20 and 25. And the great majority of our students are 25 and up. So I think it has the ability to have great impact for our students. I get requests almost on a daily basis right now for emergency funding for our students who are single parents who are trying to work to keep a roof over their head, have come back and this is what they want to do and they have dreams of it, but they don't know if they can stay in the program because they've got bills to pay and they need to go to work and their car broke down. And so I think it has a really great potential. Question, certainly see how this rolls out. How it rolls out with our new admissions pathways, right? And if we need to make adjustments, we're always talking. We're always thinking about what the future looks like, what's coming down the pipeline, how can we try to be ahead of that? How can we be ready for what's coming down the pipeline? So I imagine at our working group meetings coming up, that will be the topic of conversation on, hey, what do we think? I think Lenore already reached out to me to be ready for a news release potentially. And, we expect that maybe in the next week or so, we'll have some more information and be able to kind of start working from there.
Just to give you scope real quick. So about a month ago, we got together when this first dropped and I looked at the applicant pool and we had about 1,600 applications for fall and 400 of them were age of 25.
Right.
So, we're talking about there's going to be a big market this summer.
So I guess what I would ask the group is, and Dr. Nye, is as you're coming up against things that aren't working for this program, excessive wait list, other issues that are of affordability, costs overruns within your program to be able to do it. To track those so we can, I think we have an opportunity to course correct in the next budget cycle. So don't kind of leave anything on the table. Sort of be sure to communicate with Dr. Ryan. Make sure we know where we can advocate for.
Yeah.
Because there will be the interest in this program, the political interest will be there. So it's a real golden opportunity for us.
Yeah, I might just add, we certainly don't want money to get in the way of something that's successful. I mean that sincerely. And capacity, we've heard a couple times tonight, and specifically, as Trustee Pushman just said, the word wait list. So what are some opportunities for us to bolster that number? And it's easy to build maybe a facility or capital, but what about the professors to be able to take, let's say, another 20, let's make the number easy, 36 more, and a magic 100. That doesn't just happen. You've got to recruit. So I'm interested in those kinds of opportunities where how can we make this even, how can you make this better? And, where let's just set money aside for a moment. What could we plan for? The need doesn't seem to be lessening when you're looking at 100% placement. And what are the salary ranges? Again, ballpark. We just don't know when they're coming right out of here and on their way for a placement. What's a starting Mid-range sound.
$73,000 to $78,000 a year is what our ADN graduates are making at our local Thompson, Geneva, Rochester Regional, or you are.
$75,000-ish.
Yep.
Wow.
And to just piggyback slightly off that, as we talk about waitlisting and this potential surge of applicants and interest in our programs and potentially, opening up more seats or something along that line, recruitment and retention of faculty has to be at the top of that conversation.
Sure.
We currently have several open positions in nursing, and you can imagine when our ADN graduates are going out to make $73,000 or $78,000 a year, that's significantly more than starting salary for faculty.
Sure.
That makes it challenging to recruit. I think there's been a surge with a whole bunch of open faculty positions, better marketing strategies, some different tweaks that we're trying to make. SUNY has recently come out with a program to help get some of our BSN community members into master's programs and into a teaching position at the same time and paying for them to get their master's degree. So I think there's some strategies coming down, but the best thing that I can ask of you, and you and I had this conversation actually a couple months ago, when you're out at those legislative events, talking about recruitment and retention of faculty. Certainly, I think mostly about nursing faculty, but I mean all of my faculty members, because we can't put more students in the seats unless we have people ready and able, right, and educated. In our program, we have an accrediting body in New York State Ed who very closely dictate what you need to have to be able to teach nursing. And that involves either having a master's degree in nursing or being enrolled in a master's degree program. So that's my plug, I guess.
Yeah.
I can assure you, the advocacy is there exactly on that point. And I testified to Ways and Means. I was public in an interview. Nurses were about 23% below market. Again, it's how do we attract nurses? Exactly. So another thing to keep track of as you're going through this, because that's what we need data to help push the case.
So this is partially a comment, partially a question. The process that you described of this collaboration and the planning for everything you've done is very impressive. I can easily see where capacity is going to be exceeded fairly quickly. Where do you see the planning going next? Like, how do you take all of the different elements, faculty recruitment, capacity, hours available, placements available, and how are you thinking of planning for that, or have you not gotten there yet?
From an admissions standpoint, and from the front end piece, this is very new. So this is really the first full year that we have gone through it, at least for the different pathways. So we're in assessment now to the point where we're looking at, holy cow, the second paragraph of the acceptance letter did exactly the same right thing. So we're from there all the way up to 2 years from now. When do we want to set the table? When do we want to open it up? When somebody has 21 credit hours, what are we saying at advisement versus 45 credit hours? If someone's borderline in a class, so right from that nitty gritty all the way up to if we're getting you Slate, that's wonderful, but that is a recruitment tool. Can we do more in the onboarding process? Can we build that out to student success? What does that team that works in that system look like? That's half a position right now. Should that be a full position? Megan and I, thank God for Megan, because her and I work together every single day. We're in each other's offices. From the advisement and the admission standpoint, we have to be totally seamless. And then the other piece is how do we float the right information out to our cabinet members and to document so he understands the resource and what we're after. My long-range goal is to reinforce, make better, and operationalize, improve efficiencies, put people on the right pathway. Then we worry about capacity. I know we're excited about a wait list, but this is still the first semester we've had a wait list in almost 5 years. So let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. But if we do it the right way, we 100% are going to be there next year. So your point is valid. That's just from where I sit on the front door and getting that, maybe getting that wrong. That's my take on it.
Yeah. This back to a wait list is brand new. from like COVID times, right? We're just kind of emerging out of it. So the timing of the state stuff alongside of it is, you know, we kind of are like, oh, wow, we were not even sure we were gonna get 62 in the spring. And so that was a huge surprise for us when we ended up with 62. And so I think Matt is very accurate there. We're kind of assessing, making processes more efficient so that we can make them more seamless and maybe less work, more work done behind the scenes. And now need to start really thinking about what does this mean, right? We're there now. We are to a wait list now. Okay, what does that mean? And so I think we're just in the beginning phases of that, since getting here happened pretty quickly when we made these admission changes. We got to this mark probably a little faster than we thought we were going to get to this mark, which is great. But now we got to start thinking about those next steps, especially with, you know, this potential stuff coming out of the state. And what does that mean and how can we be ready for it?
Can I say one thing? The college has been ahead of the state in terms of thinking about healthcare. And it goes back to being able to go from 160 to 256 slots in the nursing program that we have just about gotten to, anticipating and knowing that we needed more support. So we're ahead of the state in their initiative to do this. And it's hard work. And I really would like to congratulate this team up here, because it was definitely really hard to get to the point where we could create multiple avenues for the students to be able to get entered into the program, to be quality students, so that they can be the types of students that the nursing program wants to get out. The other challenge we have, the reason we have, part of the reason we have some empty slots, is because we have increased the number of nursing faculty that we have. But then it's difficult to retain them. And being very candid, we need to address it in our contractual bargaining agreements to be able to provide some option. So when you have high needs programs, that you can help them to recruit them into the program. So there are a lot of moving parts to do it. But what I really just wanted to highlight is this college. The reason we're at where we're at right now was because we were strategic in our efforts 5 years ago to be able to get where we're at now. And it took a lot of work. So thank you to you all to do that. And we've got a lot more work to go. We'll up our sleeves. But you've got great people at this college that are doing some phenomenal work.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
No,
I think we move along the meeting and, sorry.
Quickly, with respect to the faculty member for nursing, one idea would be to have some endowed faculty stipend, like what is done at some of the colleges. So if there are external sources to supplement the nursing faculty member, then it may not need to go through the faculty bargaining unit. So there are colleges where they endow professorship, or in this particular case, if we can find that.
Thank you, thank you. So with that, I apologize to the chair for taking so long with our education and planning meeting, but there has been some really exceptional news and announcements today from the chair. So thank you. With that, I'll take a motion to.
I move.
Jones, thank you. Donna, thank you for seconding.
Thank you, Trustee Christman. Mark.
Yes, one of the most impactful education agendas we've been a part of. So kudos to everyone. All to order, and again, if facilities are needed, we just love people rotated and up. That's okay. Call to order the Finance and Facilities Committee of April 2nd, 2025. And trustee Astles did step aside for a moment. Oh, there it is right there. We were kind enough to lead the March 5th committee and give trustee Astles an opportunity for
No comments or anything.
you read the minutes, they all look at
Yeah.
that's great.
If anybody has any comments or questions.
Seeing or hearing none, thank you, trustee
Thank you.
Astles, for doing that. Appreciate it. Move right to the operating budget for 24-25, and there he is.
Here I am.
base as well.
So, I don't know if we can blow that up. Yeah. So, just for, time here, I did add kind of 8/31/2024 and where we ended last year, so we can kind of start projecting as far as where we were.
Thank you.
Last year at this time and look out to maybe where we'll be heading this year. So, last year, we had about 16.4 million in tuition revenue. And we ended the year at 18.7. That really equates to our summer tuition that we pulled in last year, which was about 2.1 million. So I would anticipate this summer to be somewhere in that ballpark as well. So that will help to start looking at where we'll end the year as we look at tuition. So we'll be up a little bit from where we had budgeted. State aid, we did receive the third quarter payment in March. We also received the sponsor contribution here in March as well. So those numbers will show in our March 31st ledger here. So revenue's on track. Miscellaneous revenue will continue to probably exceed budget. The reason for that is interest income. Interest rates are still hovering at the 4.5% mark that we're earning currently on our CDs. So I would anticipate us to meet or exceed some of the interest income that we earned last year. So
Questions on the revenue side, George?
It's actually the whole thing, the revenue seems to be fairly consistent with where we were last year, but the expenses seem to be running hotter. And I'm just wondering if that's it.
So, yep, some of the expenses are higher than last year. Salaries, when we look at that, last year our salaries were over a 27 pay period factor versus 26 this year. So salaries are going to be a little bit higher this year because we're running 26 pay periods versus 27, which was spread last year. So it will start to even out as we get towards the end of the year. Fringe is a little bit higher. A lot of that was our increases in our healthcare costs and some migration in our healthcare there. So you'll see benefits probably closer to where we ended the budget or have the budget for this upcoming year. So.
Any challenges or concerns on either side? Revenue side, feeling
Revenue, I'm feeling.
to budget?
Yeah, I think we'll probably exceed budget.
Okay, so at least to budget. And on the expense side, any concerns or challenges there?
Expenses, I don't see any significant challenges there. When you look at supply and expense, this year we're recognizing our prepaid expenses that we book at the end of 8/31/24, that equate to this year that we pay in advance. So those are being recognized in a more timely manner this year. So it's showing a little bit more of an increase in our supply and expense categories than what it was last year. Last year, we picked that all up towards the end of the year. So.
Did you have a follow-up, Trustee Bushman?
No, I appreciate the answer.
Other questions on the budget? Yeah.
A couple of general ones. What percentage of that budget is federal dollars? Any idea? Give me an educated guess.
Raw dollars, either raw dollars or percentage.
Where that would, there's no federal grants contracts. It would be our financial aid that is
Okay.
helping with the tuition dollars.
Like Pell, right?
Yes,
Pell Grant.
Okay.
So
All right, thank you.
the grants and contracts is held in our restricted fund, so it's not shown on us. What I will do for the March 31st board meeting is just bring in where we are from a federal grant and contracts perspective. What's been budgeted, what we've been spending, so that you can be informed on that.
Just to be clear, the trustee asked this question, if things go south down in Washington, they could go further south in Washington.
Yeah.
What, do you see any significant impact to us, and if it is there, or what if,
Hey,
Scenario.
I think that there'll be a, impact on our tuition. Enrollment will probably decline if Powell goes away. I don't think it will. I think it's been, strongly suggested that that will still remain. I think what you'll potentially see as the federal government's fiscal year starts up in October, what does that look like? And is that signal to the state to have to maybe pull something back from us? So, where I see us being impacted is probably the state aid line could be impacted. I think the county's committed to us right now for another year of funding, so, their budget year falls a little bit different, so where I see that maybe being impacted is maybe our 26-27 budget year. 25-26 will probably be okay, but 26-27 is where we may see the impact if, the federal government reduces spending, so. That also could be a topic for a deep dive at one of our retreats as well.
You shouldn't tell.
Do you have a follow-up?
No, I'm good.
Other questions on the budget? Keep on moving. Resolutions. Jason, you're up first.
Okay. This first one is, agreement for a Title III grant that we have from the federal government. And this is a consulting, company that help us evaluate the Title III and the performance of that award. We do have within that contract that if federal funding was to cease to exist, we do, that, the contract would, also be, terminated with the consultant. So they're well aware of it. They do a lot of these federal projects, so. But
You anticipated a question. That's great. Question on that resolution. Perfect timing. Enter Dr. Dye for resolution number 2, and that's the acceptance of an agreement for retained search services.
This is a request for a search to utilize JK Executives talent for the search for the chief human resource officer.
Right.
It is not low bid, which is why it's here for your permission. It's slightly higher than the other 2 firms that were submitted. JK Exec did the search for the CFO and the CIO, and I think they've done a pretty good job that we can attest to the leaders we have here. So with your permission, I would like to pursue JK Exec, and the goal is that we'll have our final interviews after school starts. In terms of what's their JK Exec said they would need 12 to 16 weeks to do it the way they like to do it. So we'll delay about a month, and the faculty have promised that they'll be participating in search, those that are selected over the summertime, and then have final interviews right after school starts.
Your rationale in terms of how you described it, it felt like a good fit, again, and based on a proven track record. Comments or questions?
No, that was going to be sort of my question was, is it the basis of we've got a track record that's been successful in everything, that's why we're going to the less than, more than all of it.
And they have done a number of searches for college as well, but I mean, the success is proof is putting right here in front of you with the two folks that have come from JK.
I can understand you better with the college better.
They already have some knowledge.
Yeah, they don't have to do that.
And I believe the same person that assisted last time was there, and I truly enjoyed it.
Other questions on this resolution? The Rammerman Leadership Group is also a proposal from us.
The Rammerman Group, last year you authorized us approximately $35,000 for the purpose of senior executive level training and experience and mentoring is excellent. And the key reason that we asked for it was to develop a new senior team. We had 4 new senior leaders and one that was just 1 year in, and it's very important to have the mentoring and services the Rammerman Group provides. I'm requesting it for an additional year to continue the mentoring processes that we have a very good team put together, but I want to provide the opportunity for our senior leaders to continue the mentoring that's there as they're getting comfortable in the jobs, and I think we'll find after this year. But I would request to have that service again for our senior leaders for 1 more year.
Questions? Okay,
Very important.
good investment.
Excellent.
Thank you.
We have informational items. We have a handful. Jason?
Yeah. I know you guys have them in your packet. The first one is Grand River Solutions for a Title IX investigations, if any were to come. So we'll have a contract. This will just be a 3-month contract. This is actually contracted through our UNYCC partnership. So it's a collective of upstate New York colleges. So we are utilizing the pricing that is afforded to us through that master contract. The next one is just lawn mowing and plant bed maintenance, springtime, so we got to get that renewed. So that was for our Geneva campus. Next one is really for envelopes and stuff. We can't do that yet in our business services, so that one is renewal of that bid. And then we're continuing to search we had a part-time cleaner in the Geneva and viticulture. That one is not filling as quickly as we need, so we're going to continue our services with Sheen and Shine for the next 3 months. Sheen, we got that, great that fill. So yeah.
Thank you. Budget transfer.
Budget transfers, just moving between budget categories within the same department. So
Final comments, anything you would offer finance committee to me?
the only thing I was going to mention was, a lot of turmoil right now with the federal government trying to figure out state, I think, has signaled that I know they extended budget deadline to tomorrow. It'll probably be sometime next week. We had a meeting with the SUNY CFO last week. He's thinking probably April 10th or so, but I think more will come, as they still continue to look at things. I think the concern is when you get into the October timeframe, what does that look like from the federal government and their budgets? And how does that affect the states and then down to the counties? So, but we go into recession. I know the community colleges are very recession proof, so maybe that helps with enrollment. It helps to offset some of that. So we'll continue to.
Thanks for keeping your eye on it. Thanks for your candor. We appreciate that. Final questions or comments from the trustees? Seeing none, please a motion to adjourn. Somebody, thank you, Jeff. Second, thank you, Fred. I'll turn it back to you, Chairman Gass.
Thank you, Trustee Martin. I'd like to call to order the Board of Trustees meeting for April 2nd. Second, who had a second?
Brad.
And is there anybody online for us, Cheryl?
Oh. No.
Okay, good. I'll need a motion to approve the consent agenda minutes and resolutions.
I'll second.
John Penn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You? We go right down to the president's report. Well, I already talked about JKSAC, but I also would like to let you know that there is a search ongoing for the Associate Vice Provost for curriculum and instruction, as well as 15 new faculty positions being posted. Wow. So there's going to be a lot of teamwork on and followed by the provost over there who's smiling and looking forward to the onboarding of these faculty and creating a whole series of data faculty. So I wanted to also remark about the Board of Trustees for the event plans. It was 10 people on that board that were putting those together, one sitting over here with Jason Tack, a lot of people. So I just want to thank all the people that were involved in that committee. And it is also a great example of governance types of activities that have representation from our governance bodies, our students, and key faculty and staff. And so it is those recommendations are coming from a really great process. I'm very proud of that process. I just want to thank all the people, because the people that had to do it, and also Jay Donahue, who's no longer here, a lot of work, a lot of details went into that. And I also want to thank everyone that actually applied for those grants, because it means a lot even if they didn't get it, and encouraging them to continue to strive to apply again. I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but, the concerns about federal funding and DEI are not gonna go away, and I think we're just simply staying the course, which is what we should be doing. We should, follow our values, our mission, and seeing these value and missions. But I just need to let you know that the word on the street in Washington DC is that there are going to be challenges. So just be prepared for in terms of what goes on.
We'll just change the name and keep doing the same thing.
That's what some people are doing. The funding is gonna be an issue though. That's the one that really concerns me the most. But there's terminology is being used by our ecologists. They're doing it. There are others that are getting rid of it. It's all over the map in terms of what people do. But I would say, think carefully before we even change what we're doing, even names. Unless it's
Here, here.
Don't make a decision before it's time.
In terms of interconnectedness, we reinstituted the President's Advisory Council. Had our first meeting, we hadn't had it since just before COVID, and had numerous executive senior leaders from the community attend, and several more will attend that couldn't because it was the first one and we didn't get it out in time. But what I would like you to review, if you haven't, is what we discussed in the advisory council. The advisory council for the president is come have a breakfast. We'll give a quick update, which we did about the college. And then each time we're going to have a question or an issue and ask those leaders to break out in smaller groups, talk about it, give us some feedback back, and we take that back and we report out the next time we have it, what we've done in terms of the input. First one we had was, what is the college supposed to be doing to help our leaders and community in artificial intelligence? And so attached is the actual discussion points and what those leaders provided us for artificial intelligence. That's going on. And it leads into a Chamber of Commerce event that will be on June 11th to help provide to our community training opportunities for our college to provide to our community businesses and other entities on how to utilize artificial intelligence for our organization. That's my report. Is there any questions?
Any questions?
Yeah.
So we had a Meet the Board event yesterday that was hosted in the student lounge where people a part of student corporation were able to speak about their roles, the students. We did receive an application for student trustee, although the student is fully online. So that raises a bit of questions, a little discussion we'll probably have to have about that. But the application deadline, I believe, is next week. So there's still time to get more applications, but yeah. That's all I have to report.
Yeah. We'll be discussing it.
Thank you.
Trustee Escalus, audit, you're on.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Trustee Mahalik, board development.
Board Development had a very productive work session, and we'll be presenting some of our thoughts at the next retreat, board retreat.
Thank you. The association report is in the packet. Foundation, trustee guys.
No report this month, but I'm sure next month there will be because there's a Valentine's this Friday night. So I'm sure there'll be, report about how much money was made and going hold any after that, getting ready for the golf tournament, which will be usual.
NYCCT.
There's nothing going there.
My only comment is that George is working tirelessly behind the scenes. There's a huge difference at the state level. And I think all of the community colleges are going to benefit from his leadership.
For every time, but standing on the shoulders of some pretty amazing folks, Anthony Brown and Alan Williams, I have to say. That we do have at the end of the month, we have a spring conference. There's actually 24 people who have signed on for dinner. the night before, and there's 35 attendees. I remember in Hudson Valley, and so, it's really, it's very exciting. We are gonna have a training session, for a couple of hours with an expert in governance, which I think is stuff that I think we'll be able to bring back to the board. That'll be valuable, because it'll give us a fresh grounding in what good governance is for community college. We always want to hone our skills, right, in that area. We continue to advocate on the part of for the budget. We are pushing hard on that regard. There's a couple of bills that we've actually generated and got folks behind. One regarding nursing that is very promising, and there's folks that want to pick that up. There's another bill to make the floor a floor plus cost of living or what have you, be permanent, so we no longer are told we'll have a chance that we're being saved $75 million a year. So we get that off the table. So there's been a lot going on, a lot of work to try to bring in the money that these community colleges so richly deserve and bring more equitable backing from the state community colleges.
I just had a question for George. So in addition to the regional councils, which still exist, and I believe will still be funded going forward in this next budget year, how about member items? Member items are back, but now maybe 5 years, 4 years, where those representatives that cover our service area, is there any outreach that we might be doing with our representatives for some of their member item dollars, which they each get a tranche of from the Senate side and from the Assembly side?
Honestly, the only outreach we have right now is just on the current budget.
Statewide.
Yeah, but have not looked at that.
I would think it'd be a pathway for not only community colleges, but everyone kind of forgets that since it went away for what, a dozen or so years and
Right.
back less than a handful.
Yeah.
Senate and Assembly side.
Offline, I'd like to pick your brain more deeply on that, so I can pull together a strategy that we can.
I'd love us to consider sampling it here selfishly, then you have a chance maybe to take it statewide, but, we have 2 representatives at the state level that are receptive. And, again, the benefit of the community college, it covers their entire surface area and lots of folks benefit versus maybe singular. So
That's right.
that's just another way in which some revenue could be around a specific or 2 or 3. So, and my final comment we can talk is the chance to build on that over multiple years.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna get tranche of dollars going forward. So,
I think, my interest.
50,000 here, a couple $100,000 there, so that's help with whatever we might be talking about.
But, you know, it's also for us, for community colleges, it's breaking that ice where somehow a couple of decades ago, it was determined that the state would no longer add any money. The full burden would go to the student. That's actually printed on student material, for the least. I get probably getting out of bounds now, so I'll.
Well, we can talk offline. I just thought I didn't know if that was an initiative that was.
Now's the time, because as soon as that budget's passed, you know, all that number of money flows right to every assembly person and every senator.
I mean, I know of 5 community-based not-for-profits that have done exactly what Fred said. I've been meeting with them since the 1st of January, that already have some assets in.
Right, if we do this as this FLCC, I would ask for some help on that.
Yeah,
Because, it just would. Need some guidance and some.
Yeah, and Senator Helming, well,
We can talk offline, that's fine.
I don't want. It's all good, but
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to go.
So there's opportunity there. And
I
again,
appreciate
dollars
that.
vary every year, but it is a pot of money.
And it's timing. Timing is critical. Like Steve said, people line up way ahead of time.
We're coming.
Fire
Yeah.
districts, fire departments, towns, villages, hamlets, cities,
And all the NFPs, all the not-for-profits.
plus all the special interests.
Trustee Mahalik, anything on the NYCCP, the awards committee?
We have discussed, at board development, that we should be taking a look at that. The deadlines are out now for awards, as you well know. And, anyone who has recommendations for nomination, please get them to the leadership. And we can, I think FLCC should continue to be proactive about recognition of people who are doing good things.
Absolutely. Thank you.
That's the thing, I just saw the update that I neglected that I think would be of great interest. And that is, the search for vice provost, the vice chancellor over community colleges.
Oh, right.
They're down the final three. Our trustees have one representative on that search committee, Dave Mathis, who is.
College has one too, right up there. Our college has some.
So that one trustee.
Yeah, no, Laura.
I know,
I understand, but trustees, there's one trustee, and so, but Dave Mathis, as you know, has been around for almost 50. And I don't know how he's lasted that long as a trustee, but he's very encouraged with a couple of the finalists.
But we're currently at 6.
Okay. There's a few that he's seeing as rising.
Oh, that he's.
But you're done, so, but you will.
Correct.
There's a timeline for a decision, or that's still.
No, we had second presentation this week and the interviews will be scheduled April 17th for the virtual. Stuff.
Get close.
Trustee Cushman,
Thanks for student purpose and I could know.
thank you.
Okay. Good. Okay, good. For the trustees, just want to give you one other event, and especially those that haven't been to it, or if you have some time to participate in, and it's next Saturday, it's the Accepted Student Day. On Saturday morning, Carol's folks are gearing up for another great event with Matt Stever and a lot of folks in the college, faculty and staff. And it's one of your best opportune times to really get out and see a lot of the faculty and staff at college.
12, is it the 12?
Yeah, 10 o'clock.
We have 160 students registered for the event.
Carol, time?
May 30 is check-in, and then, the actual program, I believe, begins at 9:15. I will have a final agenda this year next week.
Okay.
We're still tweaking that.
The best part for the board is the part that starts about 10 o'clock, which is when everyone goes and wanders around in the area and learns and gets to talk to faculty and staff. So probably around 10 o'clock is a great time to show.
But I can also have Penny share the agenda with them.
Great.
Next week.
Thanks.
Okay, I have a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
They've all turned.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Volleyball National Championship tournament starting this weekend.
That's right.
If you want to come to a great event too, thank you, Jason.
We're adjourned.
Thank you.